A risk for reward is another essential element in your expansion. And right now, where is there a place in your life where you are ready to expand into and you realize that there may be some risk for you to take in order to expand into this new chapter? So a lot of people want to avoid risk and they want to play it safe all the time. But the truth is your expansion is not on the other side of safe. So this live today is meant to challenge you to take risks. And sometimes the bigger risk you take, the bigger potential for reward. So I'm going to share with you a few different ways I've taken huge risks in my life and just the massive, beautiful things that happened because I did that. Oftentimes, whenever you want to change your life and you're at this point of a transformation opportunity, you have to make a choice. It's kind of like that fork in the road that you come to. And you can go down the path that seems really safe and seems like the choice that you're meant to take. Happy birthday. Someone's writing that it's their birthday today. And when you come to these moments in life, it's really up to you to decide what you're going to do. So for example, when I was in the hospital, I always knew I was drawn to healing and I wanted to be a doctor. And I got to that place where I was like, is this really what I want to do? Is this the thing that I'm most happy doing? And as much as I wanted to help people, for some reason, the hospital didn't seem like the place or the way to do it. And what's the safe choice was to stay. I had all of that debt in loans. I had all of those years that I was in school. I spent all of that time really becoming a doctor, and I didn't know what else to do, right? And so the safe choice is to stay. And then I started traveling all around the world, and something just told me like I needed to keep traveling. I didn't have a plan. It was like literally jumping off a cliff. But guess what? I did it. And what happened was the most magnificent, beautiful thing was that so many doors opened up and it was like magical events kept happening. Like, for example, I ended up doing a yoga teacher training when I didn't even mean to do that. I just wanted to find a yoga retreat. And I ended up finding a yoga teacher training and I just was like, I'll just do it because I'm on holiday and I have all this time and I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to Western medicine. And me choosing to do that opened up the door to a whole new career. Whereas I'm sure there's some of you who may not love what you do, but there's something you're really passionate about. So where is there an opportunity around you that might seem like a risk, right? So even to do the yoga training was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm going to do afterwards. I have to pay for it, right? It was a lot of risk involved, but it was the best thing I ever did because then I went back to New York City. I started working with people. Then I got more into meditation. Then it became life coaching. Then it became this big business and empire that I run now. And I have like a team and assistants and supporting coaches. And that's a risk. And I also think of so many clients that I go through this process with. And that's why working with a mentor who's gone through the risk is so key because sometimes people are scared to make moves. And it's important that you have someone who's got your back because usually people around you are going to be like, oh no, don't do that. You should be happy. You should be happy with what you have. You should be happy at your 9-to-5 job. You should be happy in corporate with your your retirement packages and all that stuff, which the truth is the interest rate is so low that you can invest as an entrepreneur and make way more money than you could in the retirement packages that you get from corporate. So when I look at, let's say, Amber, who's a supporting coach for my program, she also is faced with that moment of risk in her life where she's like, do I continue working as a licensed therapist where I'm not that passionate about it, or do I take the risk and leave that behind so then I can do coaching and holistic healing full time? So let's give another example connected to relationships. So I was once in a 9-year relationship. And we really loved each other so much, and it was beautiful. And I could have stayed with him my whole life, I'm sure, and we would have been happy and in love. And for my expansion, I felt like I needed to go and travel the world, and I had to take a risk and think like, here I have this beautiful man who wants to marry me, or am I going to go on my life journey around the world? He really couldn't meet me there, and he really didn't want to. He didn't want to move to the city. He didn't really want to travel, but I did. So it was like, okay, do I risk ending this relationship for bigger life plans, or do I stay? So whenever it comes to expansion, usually you have to take a risk, and you may be taking a risk on leaving the things that you love the most for something greater. And it's important, yes, of course, that we're not like, oh, is the grass greener over there, right? But it's also important not to limit your reality because you're scared that there's not going to be something better, that you won't be able to achieve your goals and your dreams and all the things you're desiring in your life. So it does require discernment, and it does require that you step into the truth of who you're meant to be. And to do that is the expansion process. So to make a long story short regarding that relationship, it was a risk, but it was so worth it, because since that time I've experienced so many kinds of love, so many. And it doesn't mean that I love him any less or that our relationship was any less meaningful to me. It's just that we got to a different place in our lives. And he went to marry someone who I think was a really great match for him. And I know whoever I'm meant to marry is going to be a really great match for me. So I share these topics because the risk is so important. I've also had other clients who, were doing what they didn't love, and they ended up leaving the jobs they didn't love for what they did love. And that ended up being such a powerful choice, because then they ended up to go on to grow businesses that exponentially grow every year, that allows them to have freedom of time and freedom of choice of how they get to spend their lives and their everyday. And I mean, there's nothing better than that. So where right now in your life are you needing to take a risk so that you can expand? I can guarantee that each and every single one of you has something. So for example, it could be maybe you need to take a risk and invest in yourself. Maybe you need to find a mentor. Maybe you need to go and do something you've never done before. Maybe you need to go and take a class and learn something you've never learned before because you're curious about it. Maybe you need to say goodbye to something. Where are you? Maybe you need to invest money somewhere, right? Like, where are you needing to take a risk so that you can grow? So I invite you to share any questions about this topic today, or any of the topics. This week I'm reading some of your comments and questions, but this week I'm going live every day for 7 days on the topic of expansion, because expansion is a process, so it requires a lot of different elements and aspects. So if you have any questions regarding risk for reward, again, that's the other thing I wanted to mention, is sometimes the bigger risk, and I mentioned this already, but sometimes you need to take a bigger risk to have even bigger rewards. So sometimes you need to give your notice before you find the next thing, or you need to end the relationship before you find the next person, or you need to give your notice of where you live so you can find your next place you're going to live. Because when you're sitting in comfort, it's really easy to be in comfort. It feels nice and cozy. But the moment you put yourself into a place of risk, it requires you to get more resourceful. And it requires that your mind and your energy start to expand in a new way to find a solution that's in alignment with your highest and best good, with where you're wanting to go. Because procrastination is one of the big killers. So people think like, oh, later, next year, I'll try it then. Or I'm going to wait until the perfect thing comes along. And yes, that can apply sometimes. But if you're waiting, maybe you're not taking enough of a risk. So these videos are meant to stir and shake you up a little bit. As a coach and a mentor, I really love to challenge people in a healthy way, It's really how we grow, and through pleasure. So it's like, where can you take a risk that can be pleasurable too? So someone writes, can you shed some light on when the risk is trusting your intuition? Exactly. So in day one of this, I talked about, and keep sharing your questions. I'm going to come back to this. Michelle writes, oh, hi, Michelle. Oh, needed to hear that exact moment. Yay, girl. Yes, I love hearing that, because that's what this is about. It's like that synchronic moment you sign on somewhere because your intuition said, hey, let me come on here and listen to what this person is talking about. So in regards to your intuition and risk, if you know it is your intuition that is telling you to take risk, you really then need to listen to that. Sometimes your intuition can tell you to do something that is like totally illogical. Like, for example, when I left Western medicine, that was crazy. People were like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I just know I need to leave. And I did. I left. I didn't go back, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I knew I had to keep traveling. I didn't know, like, oh, I need to not go back to Western medicine so that I can go on my spiritual journey around the world. My logical mind didn't know that, but my intuition knew it. So your intuition operates outside of time and space, and it is the language of your soul. So it is guiding you beyond what you can comprehend. So for example, like I've had moments where I've had my intuition tell me I need to go to a particular store. And then when I go to that store, I meet someone. Or my intuition will say like, okay, it's time for you to learn more about this. And I find the way and the mentor and the course to do that. So we come to this life with so much knowledge that we actually consciously remember. And then we start to awaken more knowledge. And our intuition helps us. It's kind of like we're on a treasure hunt. And it's like, okay, I know I have this mission, but what would life be if you like came onto the planet and then you did your mission and you had no challenges for growth and you didn't have to take any risk or reward? The whole point of this life is for your soul to grow and evolve. So your intuition is kind of like the conductor that's like, all right, you are ready to awaken this next aspect of your intelligence so that you can live your most divine life. Are you ready? And then your intuition may tell you, oh yeah, you need to work with that person. Oh yeah, you need to go travel to that country. Oh yeah, you need to do this training. Oh yes, you need to go and move away to that state. This is all your intuition that's helping you to live your destiny. So Lady G, does that answer your question? You definitely need to listen to the risks that your intuition is telling you to do. That's super, super important. And I really love risk because I feel like in the unknown are infinite possibilities. So if you stay in the known all the time with what's safe, how can you ever know the infinite possibilities that await you? Life is meant to be lived through different experiences and through different places and adventures and people and situations. So it is your responsibility to take risks so that you live the most incredible life. I know for me, when I took one-way tickets around the world, like that was the ultimate gift. I am working with a client right now, and she's in my women's program. And at the start of the program, she set really incredible goals. Like she was like, I want to move into my house, but before May 31st, and I want to expand my business and this and that. And this woman took so much risk, and her results have been incredible. She has moved into her home officially yesterday, May 26th, and the 31st was the date she gave herself. And she just leaped right into it. Her and her husband just started looking at houses. They didn't even have the full down payment. But guess what? They made it happen. And they were gifted money so that it could happen. But guess what? They took the risk to say, you know what? We're going to move. We're going to look for a house. We're going to find a house. She also took a risk by leaving her current office for an even bigger one, from 1,200 square foot shared to 4,000 square foot shared. So she was taking on a bigger responsibility, and she took that risk. But guess what? She gets 2 to 3 new clients a week. And then she randomly got a $40,000 contract to do another job that's separate from her current one. So her expansion allowed her to be a magnet for greater opportunities. So when you take risks, you stretch yourself. And then the universe is like, yeah, you can hold more. I'm going to send you more. So taking risks upgrades your energy field so that you can hold more, so that you can be more strategic, so that you can receive more. And it makes you wiser. So then you're more prepared for every single situation that happens in your life. So someone writes, take what you want for everyone. Australia's okay. Someone's writing, what did you do today? So what did I do today? I've been working with my assistants, creating lots of fun content for you guys. Here I am live. And tomorrow through Sunday, I'll also be coming on to talk about expansion. Tomorrow we'll be talking about divine support for expansion. But today's really about you. And you saying yes to those risks and those moments where you know you need to step up. And then someone writes, my reward is with me. Yeah, and your reward is with you, especially when you take risk. Because if you keep living a very safe life, you may get to the end of it and be like, I didn't live enough. Your risk is really a measure of how much you're living. So my invitation, I even posted a quote today about that. My invitation for you today is to take risks. Wherever it is, identify it, notice when it's happening. And it's like jumping off the cliff and trusting that you're going to land. Because sometimes that's what you need to do. Sometimes you need to radically change your life and change your choices and change what you're doing. And that's my invitation for you today. Why? Because your expansion is connected to your evolution, your awakening, and it affects the entire planet. We all affect each other. So as you grow and evolve and ascend, guess what? You give other people permission to do the same. So I am so happy that we had this conversation today. I love coming on here with all of you. It's always such a gift, and to see so many of your beautiful faces through this medium. I love sharing on Instagram, and I love sharing with all of you. So be sure to leave any questions or comments, especially if you're catching the replay. You can just leave them in the comment section of the IGTV, and I'll be glad to answer this. And also I'm choosing now as a time to really talk about this because, as you know, we've just gone through an eclipse full moon. We have 2 planets in retrograde, and these are kind of like these milestone moments that are showing us that humanity is going through changes. We're seeing changes in the Schumann's resonance, which is the energy field of the planet. So there's an awakening happening, and you're feeling changes within yourself. And these videos are meant to act as a source of like a resource in a sense. They're a resource so that you know you're not alone, and they give you tools and tips on how you can be better embodied so that you're taking full advantage of your life in every moment. And I'm really all about ultimate living. I love supporting people who want to live their ultimate life, to have ultimate health, wealth, and embodiment and love. And it's really about beyond health into the superhuman realms. And that's what I'm interested in. So I thank you all for being here. This is always so much fun. I bless you. I send you love. I send you light. I send you gratitude. Big, big love, hugs, and kisses. Thank you for being here. Bye for now, and see you tomorrow.